Here, welcome to Kingdom Builders. This is a Bible study for faith-based entrepreneurs so that we can help you elevate your influence and impact to ultimately elevate God's kingdom. And today, I wonder if you've ever asked yourself the question, what's the purpose of business? I remember when I got into business and there was a time, and this is before I found the Lord, I was in a place where I had hit my goals. And I got financial freedom where I could quit my job. And I quit my job. And the strangest thing happened, which was right after I quit my day job and I went full time in my business, I fell into a week of depression. It was kind of like, if you know Michael Phelps, the all-time multiple time Olympian winner, when he won his 7th Olympics and he retired, he got depressed. And maybe you've seen this out there before as well too. Do you know anybody that they've retired and they became depressed? So I wondered to myself, what's the purpose of all this? So if you've wondered that purpose before, you're going to love this today. So like this, share this, also subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already, because we're going to answer the question, how do you fulfill your calling? And is there even a purpose to your business? Well, I'm going to go and dive into Genesis 1:28. When I realized this, it so changed my life, because there is a purpose to your business, Pam. There is a purpose to what it is that we're working. And it's not just here just to waste some time, just so we're here so we can wait until we're retired. But work actually in the Hebrew is the same word for worship. Work actually is the same word for worship. Work was made for people to do, and it's a part of our whole worship situation. So let's take a look in Genesis. If you want to find the original purpose for something, go to the original word. So Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image. So this is God creating man. According to our likeness, let them rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the sky, over the livestock, over all the earth, over every crawling thing that crawls on the earth. So what we see through here is God designed us to be able to have a certain authority through his created things. So we have to realize that we, as children of God, have been given a certain authority. It's not just that we're here to be able to have authority, right? So he created man and woman, and this is what he said. God blessed them. So God gives us blessing to be able to do the next thing, right? We have been given the abilities by God. It says in the New Testament that every good and perfect gift comes from God himself. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So what we see in the first chapter of the Bible itself is the first commandment that God's given to his children, which is be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, subdue it, and rule. You know, God's given each and every single one of us a certain call. Have you noticed that we're all created with many different types of passions, many types of skill sets? Perhaps if you're in a relationship, I know with me and my wife, I've realized that I am super good at some things and I am horrible at other things. And yet my wife, she is way better at those things than I am. Like, I get headaches when I think about spreadsheets. She falls in love with spreadsheets. We have all been given a unique gifting. And with that, that is the fruit, that is the seed. Every single one of us, when we are born into this world, did you know that God gives each of us an aspect of his creativity? And he says, be fruitful and multiply. What are we supposed to do? We've been given a seed within us. These seeds of imagination, these seeds of ideas, these seeds of giftings, right? So be fruitful and multiply isn't only just to be able to have kids and babies and everything, but what about these ideas? Why did God create us? So that we could help him with his future creation. So be fruitful and multiply. One of the purposes to your work, one of the purposes to your business is to take an idea that God has given to us individually so that we can express that aspect of creativity for Him. Fill the earth, subdue it, and rule over the fish. Have dominion. What does that mean? Have authority. Did you know that we have been given authority as children of God to be kings and queens in His nation? If you read in the book of Revelation, it says that He has built a kingdom of kings and queens. That's why Jesus is called King of Kings. Did you know that we are kings and queens? And what is a king or a queen? Man, when I understood this concept, it so empowered me. Because sometimes we walk around and we say, man, woe is me. Why am I here? Like, what's the whole purpose of this? Well, kings and queens, we've been given an authority to be able to have responsibility over something. And each of us, when we're born, we're given an assignment. We're given certain goals, dreams, aspirations. And our assignment here is to be able to carry out that with high respect and high responsibility. And what does that do? Well, we are created in His image. So when we walk around as image bearers, we are a reflection of who He is. So in our businesses, when we are fruitful and we multiply, and we fill the earth, we subdue it, and we rule over the fish of the sea, not people, if you notice, it's over the creation. There's people, and then there's things that are created. So we're here to be given this ability to be able to rule over our assignment. And our assignment is our giftings that we've been given, the dreams that we've been given, the businesses we've been given, so that we can use that, help other people be able to walk around and have an image of who He is. We are image bearers of the ultimate image. So when we do our businesses well, when we're able to carry out that greatest commandment, we're able to actually help co-partner in the work that God has given to each of us to do. If you notice in the garden, God gave Adam a job, and his job was naming all the animals and doing all that stuff, right? Someone had to do it. God could have done it, but God has set this universe up in an interesting way where while God doesn't need us, He wanted us. Did you realize He wanted you and me? Because He wanted a relationship. He wanted to build a family. And He gave each and every single one of us an aspect of His creativity, a seed that it's within us, that it's meant for us to be able to bring into fruition. Fruition, one of the parts of fruition, the word is fruit, right? It's within us. So we can multiply that. We can use that to express His creativity and help other people. Does this make sense at all? It's so powerful when you realize that each and every single one of us were not born by an accident. It says that we were knit by Him in our mother's womb, that God had put a thought. He knew that you were here for a reason. He wanted you here, and He gave you a specific call. He gave you a specific set of talents and skill sets and ideas and imagination, so that you could bear a great image of Him. And why? Because if you take a look in Genesis chapter 1, we find who God is. God is first and foremost a creator. So when we are creating, we are most like our creator. Comment amen if this all makes sense so far. So when you're in business, what's your purpose of that? Your call is to be able to bring out that thing that is within you, those ideas, those dreams, those business plans, those things that you say that you want to be able to do so that you can be more like Him. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I'm going to go through 1 Thessalonians verse 4. Now, what's the purpose? Some say, well, that's like an Old Testament thing. Well, take a look in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 11 to 12. Man, did you know that in the Bible, it actually talks about the benefits and the importance of being in business? You see, a job is actually a concept that was not really created until the Industrial Revolution. Think about it. Back in the day, there was no such thing as a job. Everybody was their own farmer. Everybody was their own business owner. And they went around and they created their own businesses and they traded with each other. I believe the only jobs actually that were in the Old Testament that were in the before days was either a slave or a soldier. Outside of that, everybody had their own business. So a job is like a modern day concept. So what's the purpose of business? Well, in First Thessalonians, this is Paul speaking to the church over there. He says to them, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life and attend to your own business. Do you see the word business? And work with your hands just as we instructed you. And why? Why should we make that a goal? So that you will behave properly towards outsiders and not be in any need. Oh my gosh. So Paul is saying, build your own business so that, number one, you have no need. You know, everybody has a different call, and there are some that are called to be missionaries and called to not live life with much financial abundance. However, that's not everybody's call. For some, it's like that. If you even know, even with Paul himself, Paul was a tent maker. Paul had his own business. Paul says all throughout the New Testament that while he loved that people gave to his ministry, he didn't need it. You know, one of the biggest testimonies for the faith-based entrepreneur in the world is that if we can show the world that through our own creation, through our own business, through our own entrepreneurship, you're able to make enough money to fund for you, your family, so that you don't need to be in any need. You know, one of the worst testimonies is when there is a faith-based entrepreneur that is in massive financial need and is always poor. That's one of the worst testimonies for God, because what happens, and it's unfortunate, once again, I'm not saying everybody should be rich and famous and stuff like that. However, to be able to have financial responsibility, it's unfortunate because in today's day and age, you know, one of the biggest reasons why the faith-based entrepreneur kind of has a bad connotation, it's kind of in the expectation, the culture that, and it's not true, but it's like this feeling that if you're Christian, you should be poor. And there's this overarching theme that Christian business owners aren't successful. But that's not true. It's like a connotation. It's like a stereotype that is completely false. But it's because there's been this overarching theme that wealth is not a good thing. Now, wealth is not a God thing, but wealth is designed to be used by his people to be able to help their families, to be able to help the world. If anything, wealth has been stored up. It says in Proverbs, it has been stored up by the wicked to be given to the righteous. If you just take a look at these, right? So why are we meant to have a business? What's the purpose of it? So that you don't need to be in any need. So you don't have to beg. You don't have to be like groveling for money or any type of resource, but build your own thing, be your own entrepreneur, be good at what you do. So you're carrying out God's mission for each and every single one of us. We've been given a seed, and we're meant to be here to be fruitful, multiply, bring out those ideas, bring out those goals, bring out those things that you're meant to be able to bring here, because that is your assignment to rule. And then through your business, don't be any financial need, resources need, anything. Why? So that you'll behave properly toward outsiders. You know, the greatest testimony that we can have is if we can show as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, that we are carrying the call that we have been given by God in the most incredible ways, that we're the most creative, that we're doing good work, that we're actually generating profit, so that we can showcase that that is in business, that is success in a business, that you've created something of value, that when you sell it, people are impacted by that, that as a reciprocation for that, you earn for that value some type of profit. And with that profit, you steward that wisely, so that when you go around in the world, outsiders, people that are not yet following Jesus, can see and they look to you and they're like, there's something different about this person's business. What is their secret to success? And you know what you do is you give them the ultimate testimony. You tell them, well, the secret is that my gifts are not from me. The secret is what it is that I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm being faithful, but it's because I'm being faithful to the person that was faithful at first. Is that you give that biggest testimony that there is someone that loves them so much that he sent his only son to die on a cross to be able to pay for their sins, so that whoever believes in him will have eternal life. And as we end this, that was how I got brought to faith through business. I had quit my full-time job, and then I got depressed because I'm like, what's the purpose of all this work? What's the purpose of all of life? And what happened is I looked towards some business mentors, and they were so happy and they were so joyous and they were successful, at least from the worldly means. They had what they needed. They had an abundance. And I'm like, what's their secret? And they said, hey, you got to meet this person named Jesus. And I was like, wow, there is the ultimate testimony. The marketplace is the biggest field right now for ministry. And for the faith-based entrepreneur, if you take seriously your call, if you understand that God's given you dreams and your businesses for a purpose of being able to exemplify and be able to model and represent him, the image maker, as image bearers, to be the best representation of heaven on earth, and also to be able to showcase to the world that we are not in any need, that we're doing our businesses well, we're generating a healthy profit, we're able to exemplify to the world that we're not in any need, and that we are showing outsiders that there's a different example. Your success is not for you. Your success is to ultimately elevate God in his kingdom so that we can continue to carry out his original purposes. So I wonder what you think about this. I'd love to hear your comments below. And if this was helpful and you like more information like this, I actually have a free video I'd love to give you as well too, on how, as a faith-based entrepreneur, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like I need more power in my life, there's a free video I'd love to give to you that talks about a biblical principle on how to achieve and get God's presence in your life. Because our X factor as a faith-based entrepreneur is that we have God on our side, the original creator, the original entrepreneur of everything. So if you like that video, there's actually a link in the caption. It's miraculousbreakthrough.com/free video. You can grab that. I'd love to give that to you so you can take a look at that. And just encourage you, like this, share this, and subscribe to our YouTube. We put this plus a ton of other stuff on there. Side note, I also started a Facebook group that is a free public Facebook group that we're building out this whole Kingdom Builders community. So check the link below. I'd love for you to join that too. We're going to put a bunch of cool content there. All right, everybody. So hope this blesses you. Other than that, we'll see you on the next ones. Talk soon. Bye-bye.